In this video, we're going to see how to use an IDE, such as IntelliJ IDEA, to develop locally and work on a Scala project. And I like IntelliJ because it has a nice, mature, advanced Scala plugin that understands the language very well. So a prerequisite here is having already set up a passwordless SSH access to your Bitbucket account. So this will be similar to the steps shown for Code Envy in the other video for Linux and Mac OS, and for Windows it's a little different, and you should use the Bitbucket 101 documentation, which is very detailed and will get you up to speed. So what we're going to do is visit our repository homepage and copy the SSH URL for the repository, and then in IntelliJ we're going to say check out from version control, and here we'll want to choose Git as opposed to GitHub. Now you paste the repository URL in here, and now we can verify that your passwordless SSH based access to your Bitbucket account actually works. So we'll hit test, and this needs to succeed before you can take further steps. Okay, so now we'll say clone, and it will ask us whether we want to open the project, or actually create a project, and we will go into this dialog where it says import project from external model, and we'll want to choose SBT because these are SBT based Scala projects. And then here we'll want to make sure everything's default, and project JDK should be a 1.8. If that doesn't show up, you should be able to create one here by going through this dialog and navigating to the Java home on your local workstation. Okay, so in this case that's already done, and now we should be able to say finish, and it will sync the IDE IDEA project from the SBT project, and once that's done we should be good to go. Now we should be able to do similar things as we did on a command line using the IDE. So we can drill into the test folder, and then if we just hit, for example, run all tests, it will do the build, and it'll discover only the JUnit tests. So if we want to run the others through the IDE, we would have to run them individually. But this is, as I mentioned in the other video, not usually a problem, because we would choose one test style and just run the tests that follow that style. So here, let's basically go through the same steps as we did for actually getting all the tests to pass, and then for committing and pushing the changes back to the Bitbucket repository. So here we can see a nice distinction between failed tests and between errors in a test. So the failed tests are orange, and the errors are red. So let's go here first, and if we just double click this, it'll take us to the right place in the test that failed or had the error. But of course we are supposed to fix the subject under test, the system under test, as opposed to the test, unless there's an error, in which case we'll have to dig a little deeper. So the system under test here is double echo, so we'll go there. So we can probably just go to the implementation, let's just go straight to that source by drilling in here. And here it is, and as we see, so there are two spaces here, when here it says it wants only one space, and the difference is that There's no additional space in the expected value here, whereas there's an additional space in the actual value. So we'll get rid of the additional space here, save, and then rerun the test suite using this little green arrow. And now the failed tests are gone, and now we will just look for this error here, which is the index out of bound exception that we see here, and we can go straight to our place in the place in our test code where that occurs. And here we have one element, one item in this list, and that should have index 0. So we'll correct that to 0, rerun, and now they all pass. So this is great. And there is probably another error in the JUnit test. So let's run those. Yep, there is. The others pass now. There is a similar index out of bound exception in echo JUnit. And if we fix this index to 0, this should pass as well. So we'll rerun that one using the arrow. Yep, they all pass. And now we should be able to do a commit and push. So if we right click on the project root, we can see here a git menu item, and we should be able to say commit directory, and it'll tell us what has which files have changed. And you know, we could actually look at the changes side by side if we wanted to. So here we would say a similar error message as before, so something like fixed SUT and corrected erroneous tests. And now we can say commit and push, and assuming that the SSH access is in place, this should go through smoothly. So let's hit that. And this is just a warning we can ignore. So files containing problems might refer to these Scala level warnings. So that's not a problem right now. So commit and push. And here again, we have to confirm the push. This is going from the local master branch to the origin, which is the hosted Bitbucket repository. And we'll hit push, and it should all go through. So push successful, and we'll verify on the right by looking at the commit. So we should see a commit just now, and that's actually the case right here. All right.